Hello and welcome to TVC News Week, where we highlight some of the biggest stories that made headlines in the last 7 days. I am Esther Mokwariola. Now, following rising security challenges in different parts of the country, southern governors on Tuesday called on the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to address Nigerians in the situation of things so as to restore the confidence of citizens. The governors, under the platform of Southern Nigeria Governors Forum, also called on the federal government to convoke a national dialogue as a matter of urgency to address widespread agitations by people in different parts of the country. Also in the program, reactions have continued to trail the death of a young lady in Iobong, Umoring, who went for a job interview in Akwa Ibom State, South Nigeria, but never made it back home alive. Iobong, who was declared missing on Thursday, 28th of April, was found dead and has been buried. Akwa Ibom State government has assured Nigerians that the perpetrators of this act wouldn't go unpunished. Now let's begin the program. Governors of the southern states of Nigeria have called on the federal government to quickly convoke a national conference to address various issues threatening the unity of the country. The governors unanimously banned open grazing in their states after a 3-hour meeting which held in Asaba, the capital of Delta State. The chairman of the forum and governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, restated the commitment of the southern governors towards a united Nigeria. Ikenna Amechi reports.
17 states make up the southern part of Nigeria, and they have all had a fair share of the rising insecurity confronting the nation. As they arrive for this crucial meeting in Asaba, they are concerned for the worsening state of insecurity in the states, and the country at large is not in doubt. Only 2 of the 17 state governors were absent, and 2 others were represented by their deputies. After pleasantries, it is time for serious business as they went into a closed-door session. After about 3 hours, the governors emerged with a communique read by the forum's chairman on what they want the federal government to do to end the plethora of challenges bedeviling the country.
The federal government should convoke a national dialogue as a matter of urgency. The meeting resolved that open grazing of cattle be banned across southern Nigeria.
Nothing was off the table as governors expressed their commitment to the unity of Nigeria, where everyone matters.
The meeting agreed that the progress of the nation requires an urgent and bold step be taken to restructure the Nigerian Federation, leading to the evolution of state police, review of revenue formula in favor of subnationals, and creation of other institutions which legitimately advance our commitment to and practice of true federalism.
At the end, they left as they came, but with renewed hope of presenting a united front despite party difference.
After coming up with these resolutions, after the about 3 hours closed-door meetings, the governors hope that the federal government will heed to these their demands for the unity and peace of this country. Ikenna Amechi, TVC News, Asaba.
Well, I have joining me in the studio to analyze this further Victor Ohai, public affairs consultant, and I also have with me via Skype Inibihe Fyong, human rights lawyer and activist. Good to have you both on the program. So let's begin with you now, Victor. When the governors decided to have this meeting and call for restructuring, almost every Nigerian was like, perhaps it's a long time coming. But there has been reactions following this move by the governors. For instance, we have that of the Senate President and the Speaker of the House of Reps. But what do you make of this stance by the governors? Are we moving in the right direction?
Well, obviously we have at the center a federal government that is not proactive, but rather reactive. And so the only strategy that can get them to sit up and do something about the situation is to probably use attack as a strategy. And what do I mean by that? For so long, people have been crying about, you know, if you like, the marauders in the forests, kidnappers, and all of that, you know, disguised as, if you like, as herders and, you know, cattle rearers and all of that. And the federal government has been paying lip service to that. And I mean, the world, the UN also has declared the Fulani herders as, I think, about the fourth, you know, in terms of terrorist group in the world, about the fourth or so. That is a statement that should have been adopted by the federal government and dealt with, you know. But we do not, maybe because perhaps for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, they have refused to do that, and they're going after other groups. I'm not saying that any of the other groups are doing anything right or so, but what's good for the goose is sauce for the gander. I expect that there's supposed to be some sort of equity in the way we deal with security issues in this country. And so when it started in the north, you know, it seemed like it wasn't going. First, let me tell you how this whole thing started was when Boko Haram started, it was burning of churches and killing Christians at the time. And the Muslims at the time felt, oh, it's okay, it's just Christians, it's nothing to do with us. And then they graduated from that, and then it became a matter that involved both Christians and Muslims. So it was no longer whether you were a Christian or a Muslim. Across the north, they started attacking. And so down south here, we felt it was a problem. It's not our problem. And so before you know what is happening, now the knife is closer home. And so the southern governors have realized that if we, as a people, I'm talking about Nigerians, not necessarily as southerners, do not do something. And the reason I say do not do something is that because in the south, there's some states that are part of, that are in the same party with the federal government. And so they couldn't talk because if you talk, it's as if you're being, is anti-party. But I was quite happy when Amotekun was formed. The reason being that Amotekun was pure and simple, a vote of no confidence on the security situation in the country. Without saying anything, the Southwestern governors have simply said, we have no faith in this federal government in terms of security. We need to take our security into our own hands, albeit legally, okay? And so what the Southern governors have done now is be proactive with the issues of security. They have decided, no, enough is enough. If the federal government is not doing anything about it, we won't let our people go the way of Zamfara and the other states in the north. We will do something about it. After all, open grazing, as you know, is a private business, okay? It's private business and should be regulated. You cannot just allow people move about freely, especially if they're a threat to, you know, lives and properties as they have been. If there must be some form of regulation. The same way you look at people using internet and say, okay, you want to regulate them, or you talk about people abusing the internet, whether Yahoo boys and all that. If you can regulate some sectors of the economy, even broadcasting, where you feel, no, you cannot just move about, there must be rules around it. I do not see why open grazing, which is private business, purely, I do not see why that cannot be regulated.
All right, I understand we have our guest via Skype, Inibehe Ofyon. Good to have you on the program this evening. So let's begin with your analysis on this matter. With regards to the point or the decision of the Southern governors to take security on their own hands, calling for the restructuring of the country, do you think perhaps this would have the support of the federal government, or what does the law say for this insinuation to take effect?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, for me, what I find most baffling, most astonishing, is that as a country, we have spent the last 5 to 6 years of the current administration having a national debate about how important cattle are to the life of our country. I find that very embarrassing as a citizen that 6 years down the line, after President Buhari was sworn in, we are still debating we are still seeing this ferocious argument about the welfare of cattle. This is not an attempt to belittle, those who are into this pastoral, breeding of animals. But the point has to be made clearly that ordinarily, no person in any part of this country can wake up and trespass into the land or the farm of another person and begin to destroy crops without being arrested or prosecuted for criminal trespass by the police. So it worries me as a lawyer because I don't know at the point as a country that we decided to create exception for cattle to say that, okay, if human beings trespass into the farms or properties of people and destroy them, they can be prosecuted. But if cattle are led by human beings to do the same thing, they are to be given some form of immunity. So this is the tragic irony that I have witnessed in this country. But on the serious points and the position taken by the Southern Governors Forum, I believe that what the Southern Governors have done is invaluable. I believe what they have done is sound in law. What they have done is factually accurate. It is morally tenable. To begin with, Section 1 of the Land Use Act clearly vests all lands in a state in trust, in governors in trust for the state. So governors have the right primarily to say this is what land is to be used for within the geographical spread of that state. And furthermore, we cannot be having this argument about whether people should continue to graze cattle in the 21st century. At the time that countries are sending their people to the moon, at the time that countries are advancing in technology, at the time that countries are exploring the next invention in science and technology, we cannot continue to be having this argument about how cows are to be raised, how cattle are to be raised. So what the Southern governors have done is correct, what they have done is proper, and the question whether the federal government will support it or not, the answer is obvious to everybody. This president has not hidden his opposition, to any attempt to regulate the activities of these herders. All that we have been hearing is, either you accept Ruga or you accept, some other initiative that are clearly aimed at forceful takeover of people's land. So when Nigerians are repelling these attempts to dubiously seize the land of people, ancestral land, in the name of grazing, and let us not belittle the argument. If the issue is that this is just about the southeast, how come that in the southwest we also have problem with these headers? In the south we have problem with the headers. In the north central we have problem with the headers. In all parts of the north, the headers are also problematic. Why has the federal government not found a solution to the problem? So what the southern governors have done is a response to the yearnings of the people that we cannot continue to place the welfare of cattle above the life of citizens, above the life of Nigerians in the southern part of the country. And the time has come for us to take a position as a country that it is either we agree that this country is governed by laws and that no human being or cattle should be raised above the laws of this country, or we go ahead and behave as a lawless country. Because if we have laws as a country, we shouldn't even be having the argument. We shouldn't even be having a conversation on whether people should be grazing openly or not. That cattle will be moved to destroy people's farms, to kill people. These killings have been going on for too long. The president has not done anything. The Federal Executive Council has not done anything to arrest the situation. So when the southern governors said enough is enough, they are merely responding to the perennial years of agitation and crying and the blood that has been spilled over time in the southern part of the country. And I believe that the position they have taken had the support, overwhelming support, of the people of the southern part of the country. Right. So if the federal government said they are wrong, they should tell us legally why they are wrong.
All right, that's a fine place to leave it. Let's quickly go on a very short break. We will come back and we have another issue to discuss on Newsweek. Stay with us.